Don't make me come in there, Zuckerberg. You'll be sorry. Where is it? Any second we will be live. You have to babysit Zuckerberg. Okay. We are live here at Comic Spot, you guys. Come on in, have a chair, sit close to each other, breathe in, breathe out. You're not going to, trust me, nothing at Comic Spots goes viral. Nothing. Sinbad went viral. That's about it. I will forever be the lady that interviewed Sinbad. Okay, I get it. You can't make him look bad, so whatever. It's not like I did a good job. But welcome to Comic Spot, you guys. That's just me trying out new material. So Comic Spot was designed so this military veteran here can vet out veterans of comedy. Not that young people know what vet means, but we can prove that they are good comics and they are veterans. And today we have somebody here who's sent me information to read about him, like everybody does, you know. And I'm going to read it because my memory's for nothing. So, but I'm so excited to have him here. I'm going to make him squirm a little bit longer by just delaying this to be annoying. Okay, I'll get serious. Today, Facebook people and people on my page and on Erik Lewin's page, we have Erik Lewin here. See, it says they're in that box over there. Erik Lewin, the guy with the glasses, not those glasses. Yeah, here's his intro. Erik Lewin is a former criminal defense attorney turned writer and stand-up comedian. He has performed in comedy clubs across the country. Holy Toledo, I respect that. And now features his weekly stand-up show, Friday's Musing, every Friday on Facebook, YouTube, IGTV, Instagram television. He's also a published novelist and an essayist. Holy Toledo, I don't know if I'm smart enough to talk to him. You can go to eriklewinComedy.com for more info 24 hours a day. But right now, welcome to the little stage, Erik Lewin. Yay! Hi,
Thank
Erik.
you, Linda. Thank you so
Hi.
much for that.
I'm so happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me on. I almost blew the whole mission because I couldn't get online, but we're here.
It's
Thank
crazy.
you.
It's
Yes.
crazy trying to. And young people have, like, you got a problem? Oh, we could do it this way, that way, this way, that way. Hold up. One problem, one solution.
That's right.
Yeah. How's it going?
Good. Just burning up here in Vegas. It's like 100,000 degrees. Are you? Where are you based?
I'm based in Vegas. I just moved here from Portland. I'm on the Vegas Strip at the Veterans Village #1.
Oh, okay, cool.
We have more cockroaches than air conditioning.
Well, you're never going to be lonely.
What part of Vegas do you live in, Erik?
My wife and I live in South Summerlin area.
Oh.
Yeah, it's nice. No complaints. I'm still pretty new to the city. I moved from LA and she lived here, so I'm a native now.
So how long were you in Los Angeles?
About 10 years.
Doing comedy in Las Vegas there?
Well, I was practicing law and then I quit that a bunch of years ago and switched to comedy. They had a lot in common, it turns out, but yeah, and then I left law behind a long time ago and just been doing comedy and writing.
Did you get tired of getting people off?
That never gets old. But yeah, I guess after a while, I couldn't, it was just too stressful, really.
Yeah. I have an attorney joke, and it's not demeaning. It doesn't punch down to attorneys want to hear it.
I would love to hear it.
Okay, I'll be brief.
In fact, if it does punch down, even better. But go ahead.
I've heard plenty of those in my day. I'm only half Jewish, but so I do comedy on the West and East Coast for military veterans. right? I put on my
Okay.
own shows because nobody will book me. Let's be serious. I have to put on my own shows. Anyway, so I do comedy for veterans. And, like, there's always a Weisenheimer out there that's like, take it to the next level. You're not quite there yet. You need to like get a 501(c) and a nonprofit paperwork. Holy
Yeah.
sweet. I'm 69. I have a little bit of a brain injury. What are the odds I'm going to understand a 501(c) if I
I
get
don't
one?
understand a 501.
Thank you. They're written for attorneys to talk to other attorneys. Let's be serious. So, like, what are the odds I'm going to do that? Costs money. What are those odds? But you guys, I got so lucky. I found an attorney who's going to do it for me. And he's a huge Sonny and Cher fan.
Ooh.
Yeah, even better. So it's pro bono. That's my joke.
Nice.
You don't even have to wait till you get home to get it.
I love it.
Thank you. So it didn't punch down.
No, no,
Didn't
but
even offend Sonny or Cher.
right. Just true. But you can feel free to offend me, the lawyer part, anytime you like.
So tell me, where did you grew up in? No, you came to LA from somewhere else. Where was that somewhere else?
The New York City area.
Yes, what part of New York City area?
So, well, I grew up in Westchester, about 20 minutes north of the Bronx. And then I just lived and worked all over New York for, I guess, the first like 30 years of my life. As I was a public defender in Brooklyn, and lived in Manhattan, and then had to get the hell out.
Totally. Like
Yeah,
everybody should do a year there, or
I
prison.
agree. I agree. But eventually, when people come from somewhere else to New York, they tend to love it and want to stay. And of course, New York, I mean, it's having a little trouble now, but it's an amazing. But after a while, I just felt like I missed things like the sky and sunlight and green things and air. And I said one day I quit everything, and I took off to LA with a one-way ticket.
Wow.
Yeah, took the bar out there and started all over.
What's it like to have been the person in charge of people's lives? Like, your criminal defense. So when you were doing that, you were taking on, you had the choice to take on cases, or do you work for a firm where you didn't have a choice to pick and choose?
Well, when I was a public defender in Brooklyn, whatever was assigned to me, so I'd have like 100 cases at a time, and I had no choice. I would just, it was my job to take whatever case came along. But in Los Angeles, I opened up my own firm, criminal defense firm, and then I took whatever cases paid, basically.
Very good.
So, yeah, I mean, but you're always helping people, even if you don't necessarily, if you wouldn't invite them over for Christmas, you would. It's the job is to protect the Constitution and to help the people. So, but I got tired of all that, and decided to basically. Well, that's the thing, is that as a comedian, people are just as unappreciative of you as when they're a criminal defense client often, because they don't understand if a joke doesn't work, or if you're having a difficult set or so on. It's still your job to entertain them, and if they don't think you're doing a good job, they'll let you know.
Wow.
They will let you know. And the same thing with people whose lives are. Sometimes I feel like I miss when all I had to do was save somebody's life. Sometimes harder to be a comic.
Yeah. And now they're, telling us that we're not essential.
I don't know who's telling us that, but I'm not listening. And I really feel, Linda, I really feel for all comics. I've been lucky in the sense that, I just decided to with the help of my wife, who's an video editor, to put on my Fridays musing every week. So that more than scratches the itch for me to perform. But I feel really badly for comedy club management and for comedians who don't have that, or haven't done that, and don't have and haven't been able to perform. I really, how we have to keep working, otherwise we get sad.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes. I'm so glad that you're doing something on Fridays. You
Thank
call
you.
it Fridays Musings?
Fridays musing.
Musing, yes.
Yeah. And it's usually around 10 a.m. West Coast time. I put it out on those platforms, and just riff on the week's events, pretty much.
So when you were in New York, what clubs did you love? Because I'm a huge comic strip, live Broadway, Greenwich Village. Those are my favorite clubs to work at. And
Sure.
Gladys Simon has had a huge part. She's the reason I have blonde hair at age 69.
It's very nice.
Thank you.
Well, I wasn't a comic in New York. I've performed at the Stand a few times. But as an audience member, I love the Cellar, and the Village Underground, which is like the Cellar part two. In the Village, I feel like the comedians are always top notch over there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Top notch.
I learned just by watching, certainly.
So, who influenced? Well, let's go back to the beginning. When you were growing up and something popped out of your mouth the first time that got attention, good or bad, how young were you? Who noticed you're funny and how did they react?
Um, Good question. I would say that I just grew up watching funny movies, Chevy Chase, Rodney Dangerfield. I could just entertain myself. They were like my friends for, days on end at times as a kid, and also watching Comedy Store clips and things like that. But I never, to be honest, Linda, I never thought that I would be in that club. Not that I'm in that club, but I never thought I'd be doing this. It really, I have to give credit to my mentor, Greg Romero Wilson,
I
who
love
really,
him.
Greg?
I love him. I love
Yeah,
him.
absolutely. He's one of the greatest of all time in my mind. And years ago, like on a whim in LA, I just took his classes. Actually, that's how I started. And with his encouragement, the next thing I knew, I was doing bringers at the Comedy Store, and and years later, I'm like, wow, I'm actually doing this on a professional level. It was a surprise to me as much as anyone else. I think I was always making people laugh, but I didn't like compute that I could be funny enough or do it in a way that would, be not just for friends.
Absolutely. The first time that you graduated from his class and you were on a class graduation show.
Yeah, it was the class graduation show in the back of Sal's Pizza on Melrose. Very glamorous. It's actually a nice room.
Yeah,
And then another friend of mine another comedian who you may know, Gary Robinson.
I know of him. He's famous, isn't he?
To me, he is, but he's also a good friend of Jimmy Shin,
I
who I
love
know you've
Jimmy.
had on, and I'm
Yes.
friends with Jimmy too. So anyway, Gary happened to be at this like at the graduation show and approached me. I knew him very informal, like through a friend, and he offered me to do he and Jimmy's show, the Shindig show, at the store. And then the next thing I knew, I was doing that kind of regularly, and that's how I started.
Wonderful. In all your time doing comedy, how many years has that been? I'm
Five
terrible at
years.
math. Okay. So in all the 5 years, what's the best of comedy that you've experienced and maybe the lowest?
The lowest would be the first 4.5 years.
Totally.
um, and well, I would say that there are a lot of the low moments. There's no shortage of those because as I think anyone who is diligent about getting better as a comic, there's lots of times where you're like, well, I don't know why that didn't work. I don't know what happened. I couldn't connect with this crowd, or something just didn't sort of reach your what you had in your mind. It definitely didn't match. And you go back to the drawing board. So I had many shows where I learned. It was all about learning lessons. And then I would say the one of the cooler, more hopeful, exciting moments I had was right before COVID. Great comedian friend of mine, Kathleen Dunbar. If you haven't, I
I
don't know,
love her. I got to meet her. I love her.
isn't she the best? She's such a
Yes.
sweet lady, so funny. And she helped me to perform in front of Harry at the Laugh Factory here in Vegas, and that was a thrill, and it went well, and I got booked in Reno. Unfortunately, COVID struck, but it was like another step in the sort of journey of getting better and rising to I guess like more challenging moments.
Wow. If you passed with Harry, that's quite a big deal.
Thank
I don't know
you.
if you
Yeah,
guys know what a big deal that is to get passed at the Laugh Factory scenario with Harry Basil. That is not easy to do. Congratulations.
thank you very much. It was, I think back on it, and it wasn't that long ago, but I just feel like, wow, that happened. And I felt like it was all the combined misery that I experienced in terms of getting better over the years and doing a lot of hard shows that were not, very validating at all. And to be able to be like, okay, I'm just getting better, like a little squirrel gathering his nuts. I'm getting better. This joke works, that works. Feel good about that. This is more my voice. And ultimately having really cool, successful moments like that kind of wrap it all up into a something really cool, really happy. So
So, do you have people other than those you've mentioned already that you want to give a shout out to for reaching back and helping you or mentoring you besides the ones you've said, or being on stage and with somebody, sharing a stage with somebody huge that you just want to go, wow, I can't believe that happened to me?
yeah, I would give a shout out to Eric Myers. Do you know him?
I know of him. I'd love to meet him.
Yeah, he's a character and he's an incredible comic. I don't have to tell you that. You'll hear it from anyone.
Yeah.
And we were on the road. He took me on the road with him for a little while, and I learned a ton from just watching him and being around him. And he taught me a lot. And he's a unique talent. So yeah, much love to Eric.
Wonderful. What you've done comedy around the country? What's your favorite state? You know, where consistently the people are definitely coming to be entertained.
Well, when I find it, I'll let you know. But
Good
I
one.
I guess I would say that I haven't. There's still many states I haven't been, but I'm just most comfortable at this point in Vegas, just because I've been here for 3 years now, and yeah, and I've been very lucky to been performing regularly at LA Comedy Club.
Don't you
And
love that club?
I love that club. They're
Love it.
extremely supportive of local talent, who are professionals as well. But just it's like a community. The comedy community really, as you know, comes together there. Matt Chavez and the whole team, and Butch Bradley and all the Butch has been a great mentor to me as well. And I'm super thankful for that club.
Me
Um,
too.
and also Don Barnhart and Jokesters helped me out a lot when I was starting out here, So shout out to them as
Did you
well.
get training from Don?
I did not. Certainly watched him plenty and learned, you know.
Brilliant.
I know he has like his classes and stuff like that, but no, I was lucky enough to he just had me jump right in and do spots.
Nice.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, when I watch him on stage, I think you're dumb like a fox.
So actually right on. I think you hit it on the head. He
Freaking
could go
love
on
him.
forever doing this and it works great. So
He's so fun to watch. It's like
yeah.
you almost feel like quitting comedy because he has every trick in the book in his arsenal, and he's like bam, 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 every which way but loose, and you're like, slow down! I can't even figure out what you're doing.
Yeah, he's a gunslinger for sure. He's very fun. He's a fun guy at the party. He's always quite funny.
So you recently got married 6 months ago, then COVID hit. And so you've been able to be sequestered with a new woman. Well, you probably dated her a while. So you're in this COVID thing. Most
Yeah,
people that have been married 30 or 40 years are having rocky relationships. You're in a new one. So is it a lot of fun? Has it made, like, would you say that a newlywed should have a lot of time to get to the point you're at? Or are you really thankful for the time because it's helped bond you?
I think it's totally helped bond us, and that's why I feel so lucky. I think every couple should have to go through quarantine before marrying because COVID, if you can survive that and continue to get closer, you know, as I said in a bit, and another, it's like 95 years of crazy packed into like 5 months. And if you can make that work, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna last. And I feel very lucky that Lily and I are better than ever, honestly.
Super. So, how did you meet Lily? How long have you been together? What's she like? Where is she? She's invisible.
Yes. She's in here and here. But she's delightful. I met her through my grandmother, actually. Very, very old country, very yeah, she's my grandma is not afraid to be assertive. She's a Holocaust survivor.
My parents were.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Okay. I never know what to say to that. Like, you
Yeah.
know, but I
Woo! Yeah.
yes, but I understand. And anyway, so I bring that up because Lily was volunteering for the Jewish Federation here in Vegas and bringing like food baskets or whatever to the elderly or to people. And my grandma was on her list. They'd never met. And and there were all these twists and turns. My grandma wasn't even supposed to be on the list, and it was like a comedy of errors. And then Lily's partner got lost, and they almost didn't make it. And Lily had a guitar lesson, and she almost couldn't do it, and all this like chazarai. And eventually, yeah, and eventually they make it there, Linda. And because they were so late, because the friend got lost, Lily had to cancel her guitar lesson and therefore had a lot of free time when grandma pulled her into the house and pulled out all my bar mitzvah photos and said, I've got a hot guy for you. And it was like they hung out and got to know each other. And basically grandma held her hostage and wouldn't let her leave without giving her phone number. And then I didn't call for months like a goof, like an idiot. I was in LA and I didn't know Lily. It was like a blind date through grandma. So I didn't really, wasn't at the tippy top of my priority list. But then I was in Vegas doing spots for Don and Matt. And I had some time and I said, grandma's been on my case. Let me call this person. And so Lily actually answered the phone and we met and had a drink and we moved in together a couple months later.
Wow. So your grandma, did she yent to anybody besides you?
She is a proud member of the Yenta Network and continues her charitable work. And
I could use a man.
I'll hook you up.
Okay.
Grandma she is a force, and yeah, so, and she's working on my cousin next, who's a millennial. So anyway, she did for me what I could not do for myself, for sure.
So, do you have a picture of your wife, or is she hanging around back in the hallway?
I do have can I like show it with their phone or
Please.
something?
I'd love to see what she looks like. I have a picture in my mind what she looks like. I'm not the Long Island medium or anything, but I'm guessing small frame, dark hair, long, dark, straight hair.
How did you know?
Brown eyes, cute button nose. Oh, there's Lily. I think I saw Lily walk in the hallway.
Oh, here she is.
Come here, Lily. She's
in her pajamas.
I think I had her down to a T.
I think you have a talent, Linda.
I could go around the country and be a Long Island medium at large.
That's right. This could become a hotline very quickly.
I just had a funny feeling. It just felt right that she was
You
petite.
were right on. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
You
I don't
did.
get that often. Maybe because she walked by and I saw what she looked like.
Maybe. I know. It's probably behind me the whole. You guys just like played this little game on.
We punked you. Oh, here comes one of those guys you got off in prison. Just kidding.
Right, some lawyer I was. Right.
Have you ever had one of them show up at your comedy?
Not that I know of, but I don't want them to even know where I live, frankly. So,
man,
yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah. Well, some of them, look, I had a lot of them avoid prison, but you don't win them all. Some of them are coming out of there. You know what I mean? And I don't know, a buffer is a healthy thing, put it that way.
Like witness protection program, they should have like attorney protection program. Jeez.
Indeed.
Yeah. Well, you've been a doll to come on here. Is there anything you want to tell people at all? Like how to cope with their very first pandemic? Anything? Some people aren't married. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe find someone to marry. Talk to Linda, call her hotline.
Talk to your grandmother.
Talk to my grandma. She'll find you a soulmate.
Does she have a Patreon account?
She That is a winner, and I'm going to talk to her about That's great. Grandma's the real talent in the family. Are you performing these days, Linda?
Mm-hmm. Jimmy Earl had me on the 12:30 show, There Goes the Neighborhood, right before the shutdown. And he, not me, he said I killed during my guest spot.
That's awesome.
Isn't that cool? I mean, so cool. I killed.
I bet you did. That's great. Just get up and kill again.
Yeah, it felt great. Like the room was hot. I mean, it's like doing an interview for Sinbad. How are you going to make it? How are you going to fail interviewing Sinbad?
Right.
Or doing
so
comedy in a hot room.
Yeah. No, I love that. This is a great thing that you're doing.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you letting me be a part of it. Thank you for having me on.
I appreciate you, Erik. God bless you in your new marriage and making it through the rest of this year. Tell your grandma hello, and my phone number is. Thank you so much,
I'll pass
Erik.
it on. Thank you, Linda.
Love
all
you
the best.
Thank you.